Hi, welcome to this last video in a series of videos looking at building validation. We're going to be talking about scheduling. We've been scheduling for a number of years using a variety of tools. I can honestly say that I'm really impressed with the quality of some of our schedules. I've looked at some recently and they fall into the exceptional category. Well done, thank you. When we talk about validation in scheduling, there are four things that we really need to think about. The first thing, have we adequately evidenced why we have included a certain line item? It may be we've included it because we're required to, because the rules say we have to allow for a contract clean. It may be obvious. So for example, if a ceiling comes down, we have to replace the ceiling. We don't need to justify and evidence something that is obvious if the facts speak for themselves. However, there may be certain situations where we have to provide evidence because we're required to by the client. So for example, electrical test and RSA. Or maybe that perhaps the photographs don't support the inclusion of an item. For example, perhaps minor soot damage to a room and we've allowed for glossing the skirting. Why are we allowed for glossing the skirting? Could the skirting not have just simply been washed down and cleaned? We need to add a comment and preferably support that comment. It might actually be that a section of the skirting was charred, in which case let's include a photograph. The second thing we need to think about is the quantity of something. Why have we allowed, for example, to replace the whole ceiling when only a small section of the ceiling has been damaged? Well, it may be actually it's not a small section. Yes, a small section has come down, but the rest of the ceiling is bowing. We need to explain it's bowing. If we can take a photograph in support, great. It may be that a photograph will not actually reveal the damage, in which case we need to provide a proper and full explanation. The third thing we need to think about is in relation to material allowances. Most of our rate sets use composite rates, so it's labour and materials. And again, most of them have banding. So for example, you've got basic quality wallpaper, high quality wallpaper, basic laminate, etc. with a material allowance built in. If we're going to use the upper end of the bandings, then we need to consider whether or not we have justified our selection. It may be obvious from the photographs that that flooring is particularly expensive. However, it may not be. We should be asking the customer, do they have the original receipt? If they turn around and say that wallpaper is £100 a roll, what evidence do they have to support that particular statement? And we can ask them, and again, we can evidence and add our thought processes into the site notes. The final thing we need to think about is evidence needed items. These are items where we go on site and we think, well, yeah, probably the plaster behind that unit might have to come up, or well, they've got to take the shower tray out and it might be damaged when it's removed. But we're not sure because when we turn up on site, we can't see, we don't have a crystal ball. So we need to follow the evidence needed process. This will certainly assist internal colleagues when it comes to them handling the claim. Thank you very much for listening to this and the other videos in this series. Thanks, bye.